Breaking NFL news to break down here on For Verts. Brian Daboll has been fired as the Giants head coach after 3.5 years. We'll react to that, discuss some other Giants news, and then take a look at some potential head coaching candidates for the New York Football Giants. My name is Harrison Graham. This is why you subscribe. When major breaking news drops in the NFL or college football, we hit you guys with a video, so hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We are so close to 14,000 subscribers. You could be number 14,000. Join this family if you want free and daily football content. All right, Brian Daboll is out in New York after they blew their fourth 10-plus point game in the second half on the road to the Chicago Bears yesterday. They've done that 4 times this year. It just was not going well, to say the least. And when you peak in year one and it kind of goes downhill from there, this is just what happens, right? And the worst thing that ever happened to Brian Daboll was overachieving as much as he did in year one, and he and Joe Schoen falling into the Daniel Jones trap. They paid him, and from then on out, it's been downhill ever since. They've been in a lot of games this year. They have not found a way to win those games. And obviously, you have stats like these. These are not stats you want to have. You're talking about a guy who lost a game with a 92.3% chance, 99.3% chance, and then 96.9% chance in the fourth quarter. And I tweeted this out yesterday as someone who is a Bears fan and covers the Chicago Bears here at Chat Sports. I've seen this before. Matt Eberflus did the same stuff. They would get leads, they would have 90+% chance of winning, and they would blow these games. The point is the Giants did not have a choice. And I actually don't think Brian Daboll is terrible. I think he's a pretty smart offensive guy. He's the one who identified Jackson Dart. We'll get to Joe Schoen in a second. Some unbelievable news on the Giants GM that we will discuss. But you just can't keep losing games like that. You can't blow these games. You can't consistently fail in the fourth quarter. Regardless of what realistic expectations were for the Giants this year, they could easily be 5-5. If they were 5-5 with Jackson Dart playing the way he has, I think Brian Daboll would be considered not in the coach of the year running, but like, hey, like this Giants team's kind of overachieving. The rookie quarterback's playing well. They're vibing. He and the head coach, but you're 2-8. It just 2022 feels a long time ago, and things change quickly in the NFL. So Brian Daboll is out in New York, and I want to ask you guys: is this the right call? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I think it is, to those saying, well, what about Jackson Dart now? If Jackson Dart is who we think he is, if he's good enough, he will figure it out regardless of who the next coach is. At some point, results matter, and they just have not done nearly enough winning the last 3 years. Mike Kafka has been named the interim. He has had some head coaching interviews in the last few cycles, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Sounds like the Giants are going to give him a fair shake here. Now, the interim thing turning into full-time head coach doesn't ever really work, so I would be surprised if he ended up getting the gig, but he will get an opportunity here. Now, as far as the GM goes, Joe Schoen is safe, and I have for now there, but it sounds like he's safe, period, which is shocking to say the least, because in my opinion, and I think most people's opinion in NFL circles outside of that Giants building, I think Joe Schoen is worse at his job than Brian Daboll was at his. I get it. You had to fire Brian Daboll. Why is that not a package deal situation? What has Joe Schoen done for us to sit here and be like, yeah, this is the guy I want leading the search and continuing to build this roster? He paid Darius Slayton a terrible contract. He was not the one who wanted Jackson Dart. That was Brian Daboll. Joe Schoen was more on the Shedeur Sanders train. Now, who knows? I guess we'll see what Shedeur is or isn't if he ever gets a chance to play, but I'd say Dart looks pretty damn good right now, and that was a Brian Daboll decision. Like, I just, the best move he's made was trading for Brian Burns. Nice move, but had to pay him $150 million. He's whiffed on a ton of draft picks. Like, I just don't get it. I think if you anonymously polled executives and coaches throughout the league, and just simple question, is Brian Daboll a better coach than Joe Schoen is a GM? I think 95+% would say yes. I do not understand this move by John Mara to keep this guy in charge. Now, maybe that changes if they're just a disaster down the stretch. They got, 7 games left? If they go 1-6 or 0-7, maybe they pull the plug on Schoen as well. But for now, in their press release, they said Joe Schoen is going to lead the coaching search, which is mind-boggling. Why even announce that now? Why not just let it play out? Even if that's a possibility in your mind, just have the press release be like, hey, we think Coach Daboll, yada, yada, yada. For now, Joe Schoen remains in place. You don't need to add in he's going to lead the coaching search. That's how you nuke a fan base. I mean, that is just brutal PR work and a brutal decision if that ends up being the case, because I don't think Joe Schoen is worthy of keeping his job. All right, coming up next, we will get to some Giants head coaching candidates. I'll examine some names to monitor, as obviously they are going to be searching for their next head coach. But first, got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to three times in the same lineup. You want to pick your favorite players, pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, take more on those stats. You can right now, all in the same lineup, only on PrizePicks. The way PrizePicks works is simple. Take two or more player lineups and pick more or less on their stat projections, just like I have here for tonight's game. I took more Jalen Hurts, half a passing touchdown. I think he throws at least one. And then I took less on Jordan Love's completion percentage, 65.1. He's been a little erratic as of late, so I'll take the less on that one. The Jalen Hurts one is a Goblin pick, so those are a little easier to hit. $20 lineup to win $40 here. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. All right, let's get to some head coaching candidates. Mike McCarthy, former Cowboys head coach. He's taken the year off. He's been doing weekly appearances on McAfee. He's made it clear he wants to coach again next season. I think if you just want like a safe B-plus hire, good offensive coach, strong resume, a lot of playoff appearances, he's probably the best guy available, right? Took Green Bay to a bunch of playoff appearances, won a Super Bowl, took Dallas to 3 straight 12-win seasons, had Dak Prescott second in the MVP race a couple of years ago. I think if you brought him in there, you would just bring credibility. I think it would be a good fit with Jackson Dart. Maybe you want his offense to be a little more creative, but I think he would just be a credible hire. Okay, Klint Kubiak, if you want to kind of take the home run swing for an offensive guy, he might be the best name out there. Young guy, he's worked under Shanahan. He's been a play caller in multiple places now. That Seahawks offense is humming right now. Now, I will say, coming from that Kubiak-Shanahan tree, those passing offenses a lot of the time are very predicated on timing, and Jackson Dart's a bit of a freelance quarterback. So I'm not saying that couldn't work out, but I think you would have to mesh the two. Like Kubiak would have to adapt his playbook and play style to Dart, and obviously Dart would have to grow as an on-time passer, which I think he certainly could. He's a rookie player who's played 7 or 8 games or whatever, and has obviously shown some good things already. But Kubiak feels like kind of the home run swing. These coordinators, it's very hit and miss. Sometimes you bring in the right one as a head coach, he's awesome. Sometimes it flops and it doesn't work. I think it helps that his dad was a head coach in this league for a long time, that he worked under Kyle Shanahan, so he's been around guys who know what the hell they're doing. So I do like that. So keep an eye on him, not only for the Giants, but for other openings as well. Okay, let's have fun here. How about Mike Tomlin? We kind of explored this last year. Is this the year that the Steelers and Tomlin part ways? If they miss the playoffs, which they've lost 3 out of 4, Baltimore is only a game back. If they do not make the playoffs, is this just the end? They kind of went all in this year, right? They brought in 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. They gave T.J. Watt $40 million per year. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They took some massive swings this offseason. Hey, we're going to go for it. If they go 8-9 or 9-8 and miss the playoffs, hell, even sneak in and lose in the wild card for the 8th year in a row or whatever, would you just split if you're Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin? And if you're the Giants, you would be salivating at the idea of Mike Tomlin. Talk about just bringing a guy in with credibility. So keep an eye on that Pittsburgh situation really for all potential openings, because maybe, just maybe, this would be the time that they kind of commit to a pivot point and try to kind of retool that organization a little bit. How about Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, interviewed for a couple head coaching jobs last cycle. I think he's pretty good. He's underrated. He's getting up there. He's in his late 50s, so he's not the youngest guy for what would be a first-time NFL head coach, but he's a pretty vocal guy, kind of a hard-nosed throwback, and, he has really unlocked Lamar's game to the next level as a passer. He was already obviously unbelievable player when he took over, but Lamar's passing went to the next level, and I'm not saying Jackson Dart's Lamar Jackson as a player, but like Lamar Jackson, he can keep plays alive, he can run around, he can use his arms and his legs, so I think Monken could kind of tap into those creativity skills that Dart has with this experience with Lamar, and I think it could be a good fit, so I think he's kind of a sleeper candidate for this job. Throw a defensive name in here. Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator. Like, could he be the next Mike McDonald, right? Like, McDonald comes from John Harbaugh, that Harbaugh tree, goes to Seattle. He's like this young, energetic defensive guy, but still fits the modern game in terms of being aggressive, going on fourth down, stuff like that. Jesse Minter working under both Jim and John Harbaugh as well. Young guy. Like, a lot of people in the league think he's going to be a head coach very soon, if not this cycle, in the next cycle. I would prefer to go offense, but Minter has worked with a lot of high-quality coaches. If he could bring the right offensive coordinator in for Jackson Dart, I mean, I could get behind that pretty easily. All right, just a few other names to monitor for this gig. Lane Kiffin, I do think you're going to hear that thrown out there. He's obviously connected to LSU, to Florida, staying at Ole Miss. What if he's just like, I'll jump to the NFL and coach Jackson Dart. John Mara, you want to pay me $15 million per year? I'm over this recruiting thing. I think he'll stay in college, but I would not dismiss that. Bill Belichick, John Mara really likes him. He obviously was there in the 90s as well. Could it happen? I mean, I will say this. UNC has shown a pulse recently. They've played a little better. I would stay away from Bill personally. The 24-year-old girlfriend thing, I just think that thing's gotten kind of a little bit wonky, but I could see John Mara making that call. I think if one team in the NFL were to hire Bill Belichick, I do think it would be the New York Giants. Brian Flores, another strong defensive candidate. You'd have to really sell if you're Flores, the OC hire, and hey, what did you learn from clashing with Tua in Miami? Because I think that's hurting his chance of getting a second opportunity. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland is another situation I'm monitoring. If he were to get fired, I've cooled on him a bit, but I still think he would be a quality coaching candidate. Minimum OC somewhere, potentially a head coach. And then Mike Kafka, it sounds like they're going to give him a real shot to at least show what he's got. If he lights it up here, if they go 5-2 or something in the final 7 games, who knows? Maybe they would give him the gig. I'm not a fan of promoting the interim to the full-time coach, but, we've seen it happen before. All right, what say you? Who should the Giants hire as their next head coach? If a name comes to mind, let me know who it is down in the comments section below. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to pump out NFL and college football content here on a daily basis, so hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon.